Part 1. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanjie. Chapter 1. Li Jie was drunk and had a dream in which he took a train to report to the university. He got off the middle bunk and immediately saw Tan Hui sitting by the window. She was listening to her MP3 player and admiring the scenery outside the window. The sun shines on Tan Hui's face, making her delicate face particularly soft and beautiful. This scene was deeply imprinted in the heart of 19-year-old Li Jie, and he could not forget it for many years. Li Jie sat down next to Tan Hui with complicated emotions. "Are you awake?" Tan Hui took off her headphones and chuckled at him. "Yeah," he responded absently. Looking at the pretty face so close in front of him, Li Jie's heart moved and he kissed her directly. This is something he once wanted to do but didn't dare to do. Tan Hui's lips are warm and soft, with excellent touch. There is also a light fragrance on her body, which makes people unable to help but indulge in it. The feeling in this dream is too real? Tan Hui's eyes widened instantly and she was stunned. The strong smell of male hormones made her mind go blank. She was forced to kiss. Her first kiss was gone. Li Jie, who was introverted and even a bit cowardly in her eyes, dared to forcefully kiss her. It wasn't until she felt something tapping her teeth that Tan Hui reacted and pushed Li Jie away. She felt ashamed, annoyed, and angry, and her face turned red. "Li Jie, what are you doing?" Li Jie groaned, pain followed, and his mouth was full of fishy and salty taste. His lip was bitten. "Why are you still biting?" Li Jie said subconsciously. After saying this, he was stunned. "Doesn't this seem like a dream?" Snapped. Li Jie raised his hand and slapped himself hard. Ah, Tan Hui was startled by Li Jie's actions, and she held back her words to blame him. However, Li Jie had no time to care about her feelings at this moment. "It hurts, it really hurts. It's really not a dream." Troubled Charlotte. "Am I reborn?" Shock, joy, excitement, disbelief, Li Jie's heart was surging, and all kinds of emotions were rolling violently. No, he needs to calm down. Thinking about it, Li Jie stood up suddenly, turned around and left. Tan Hui. This guy Li Jie took advantage of her and ran away like this? The surrounding passengers looked at the young couple having an quarrel, which made her feel ashamed and angry, and she almost shed tears of grievance. In the toilet, Li Jie looked at his slightly immature face in the mirror, feeling dazed for a while. Thick, slightly messy hair, thick eyebrows, big eyes, regular facial features, and a little short stubble. Yes, it was him at 19, young, sunny and full of vigor. Li Jie felt in his trouser pocket, took out a Nokia 1100, and looked at the date, September 1, 2007. At this time, he finally confirmed that he was really reborn and returned to the train to register at Hongcheng Normal University on September 1, 2007. Haha. A huge feeling of joy filled Li Jie's heart, and he couldn't control himself. He couldn't help but laugh wantonly, and even burst into tears. Who doesn't want to go back to the past and change the regrets, frustrations, and misfortunes of youth? What's more, it's Li Jie, a man who has been tortured by life. At this moment, he instantly understood why Charlotte in Charlotte's Trouble was so wanton and flamboyant after her rebirth. It's because they have been suppressed by life for too long. It wasn't until more than 10 minutes later that Li Jie's mood finally calmed down. When she returned to the carriage, she found Tan Hui's face as cold as ice, looking out the window and completely ignoring him. This is going to end our friendship, Li Jie thought to himself. But it's no wonder that no matter which girl is forcibly kissed by someone she doesn't like at all, she will definitely be furious. These are two people who are familiar with each other. If they were strangers, the slap would be light. If not, they would call the police and accuse him of sexual harassment. Tan Hui. In his third year of high school, Li Jie had a crush on a girl for 2 years. When Li Jie graduated from junior high school, he was just a few points away from being admitted to a public high school. He didn't want to spend the high school selection fee, so he simply went to a private high school. Unlike ordinary public high schools, the private high school Li Jie attended started to divide arts and sciences into the first year of high school. Li Jie's mathematics and physics were both short-term subjects. He was self-aware and simply chose liberal arts. Private high schools have a shortage of students, and high-quality students are all squeezed out by key public high schools. When it comes to liberal arts and sciences, most of the students with good grades go to science. Therefore, Li Jie is the tallest among the shortest, and Li Jie is made to be a good student. Received the attention of teachers and was focused on training. With confidence, his studies also improved by leaps and bounds. In the college entrance examination, Li Jie even won the top prize in liberal arts in his school. Of course, the top scorer in liberal arts from a third-rate high school would only have scores close to the first rate. But it is extremely rare. You must know that in the entire third grade of high school, there are more than 200 people in 4 liberal arts classes. Counting Li Jie, only 3 people have reached the second level, and the other 2 barely passed the level. If Li Jie hadn't been short in mathematics, he would have only scored 90 points in the 150-point college entrance examination paper and barely passed. Not to mention that it would have been absolutely easy to pass the first line of 985 and 211. Tan Hui was transferred from the key science class to Li Jie's key liberal arts class in her second year of high school because she couldn't keep up with physics. Because they were both top students in the class, they often got together to discuss problems. Over time, Li Jie developed a liking for this delicate and quiet girl. At that time, Tan Hui was a boarding student and Li Jie was a day student. The school's food is poor, so Li Jie gets up early every day and buys Tan Hui's favorite breakfast to take to school. If there is anything delicious at home, Li Jie will also save a portion for Tan Hui. Whenever the class was working, Li Jie would rush to do Tan Hui's job. As simple as him, if he likes a girl, the only way to express it is to be nice to her. Li Jie made it so obvious that none of his classmates were fools. Almost everyone of his age knew that he liked Tan Hui, and the classmates in the class always teased the two of them as a couple. In high school, Li Jie believed that Tan Hui knew that he liked her. I also believe that Tan Hui has a good impression of him. Therefore, after the college entrance examination, he learned that Tan Hui had applied for Hongqian Normal University, which was thousands of miles away. Li Jie simply changed his choice accordingly, giving up the closer and better Harbin Normal University and choosing Hongqian Normal University. Academy. Li Jie's idea at the time was too simple. He thought that far away from his hometown and relatives, the two of them were wandering together, relying on each other, and their relationship gradually heated up. It was natural for the two to get together. Years later, when Li Jie recalled this tragic secret love, he really wanted to kick himself in the face. It's stupid enough to give up your future for love. What's more important is that the girl doesn't like you at all. Thinking about his touching emotional intelligence when he was young, Li Jie couldn't help but cover his face. He couldn't bear to look at it. I was so stupid that I cried. Speaking of which, Tan Hui is not a green tea girl. She is just a little girl's cautious and knows how to take advantage of her appearance. After realizing Li Jie's affection, Tan Hui always kept a certain distance when getting along. She paid for the breakfast that Li Jie brought for her. Li Jie gave her food, and she often bought him snacks and drinks. Come and go, never take advantage of him. As long as you are not stupid, you will understand that there is no chance for the two of you. Only a fool like Li Jie would mistake someone's move to distance themselves from the relationship as a good impression. Actually, you're not even a good friend in people's minds, you're just a classmate with whom you have a relatively good relationship. Li Jie secretly laughed at himself. The classmates who have a relatively good relationship are Li Zhe's positioning of the relationship between the two at this time. No, after he forced her to kiss her, she would probably just become a passerby. Dear passengers, the train is about to arrive at the terminal, Hongcheng. Passengers getting off the train, please pack your luggage and packages in advance and be ready to get off. Thank you for taking this train. I wish you. More than an hour later, at 8:50, the train arrived at Hongcheng station on time. Passengers began to get off the bus one after another. Li Zhe helped Tan Hui take the suitcase off the shelf, but Tan Hui didn't appreciate it. She grabbed the suitcase from his hand and turned around to leave. Li Zhe watched Tan Hui's back gradually walk away, shook his head. It might as well end like this. Logically speaking, he took advantage of other girls and should apologize and say sorry. But Li Zhe just didn't want to apologize. He couldn't tell it before, but now Li Zhe knows that Tan Hui has a sense of superiority in front of him. Should deep affection be looked down upon and treated like a bitch? What happened to taking advantage of her? What's wrong with her? In his last life, Li Zhe was too honest and stupid, always thinking about others and considering other people's feelings, which is why he lived so tired and useless. But who has considered his feelings? The lessons from the previous life taught Li Zhe that the more sensible he is, the less people will love him, and the more honest he is, the more he will be bullied. A bad person does bad things all his life and does one good thing, and the prodigal son turns back. A good person does good things all his life and does one bad thing, and his true colors are revealed. Li Zhe was always a good person in his last life, but he finally revealed his true colors in front of his ex-girlfriend, in front of his friends, and even in front of his parents. What's even more ridiculous is that he has never done anything bad. If you are a good person, you must always compromise and give in. If you disobey even a little bit, you will be punished. Bad people can live confidently, but good people live cautiously. Fortunately, Li Zhe wanted to change his life. Live a little more freely and freely. Think as others like, and see as others like. I would rather be a bad person than a good person, and I would rather be a scumbag than an honest person. Li Zhe dragged his suitcase and walked off the train, and was surprised to find Tan Hui turning around and walking back. Tan Hui just turned 18 this year, 1 year younger than Li Zhe, but much more mature than him. She knew very well that Li Zhe liked her, but he didn't care in his heart. Li Jian is nice and treats her well, but that doesn't mean he's suitable to be her boyfriend. Tan Hui knew what she wanted, but Li Zhe was not at all in her consideration range. She regards Li Zhe as just a classmate with whom she has a better relationship. If Li Zhe didn't express his feelings, she would pretend he didn't know. After graduating from high school, they would be separated and the relationship would naturally end. What Tan Hui didn't expect was that Li Zhe would change his will for her own sake. Li Zhe's self-righteous approach made her feel very uncomfortable, and she regretted not telling him clearly earlier. At this point, it seemed like she was very heartless. Tan Hui decided to be gentle, don't hurt people too deeply, and just reduce contact in the future. Anyway, the two of them are not in the same major, and there are not many opportunities to meet, so the relationship gradually faded away. But what Tan Hui never expected was that Li Zhe dared to forcefully kiss her just now. The good impression I had on him completely disappeared, leaving only disgust and disgust. She also never wanted to see him again. However, Tan Hui felt very upset when she thought that Li Zhe had taken advantage of her without any apology. She decided not to save face anymore, to have a showdown with Li Zhe, to explain everything clearly, to make a complete end, and to save him from pestering her at school in the future, so she came back in a rage. Tan Hui walked up to Li Zhe with a cold face. Li Zhe, for the sake of my classmates, I don't have to worry about what happened just now, but I want to tell you. I know what you want to say. Li Zhe interrupted her, Do you want to say that you are a good person, but we are not suitable? Okay, I understand. In fact, if I think about it carefully, I also feel that we are not suitable, so don't worry, I won't pester you. Also, if it's not necessary, try to meet as little as possible at school. I don't think you want to see me either. Okay, now that everything has been explained clearly, I'll leave first and let's say goodbye. After saying that, Li Jie smiled at Tan Hui and strode out of the station dragging his suitcase. Tan Hui. Li Jie said everything she said first, which made Tan Hui feel like she was punched in the air, and she became even more angry. She was originally the one who asked Li Jie to draw a clear line, but in the end, she seemed to have been dumped by Li Jie. Tan Hui said angrily to his back, "Then why did you kiss me?" Hearing the voice behind him, Li Jie paused and continued walking forward. "There's no reason. Just kiss me if you want. Just think I'm just having sex." Tan Hui was stunned. Kissed when you wanted to? Intrigued. This was definitely not the Li Jie she was familiar with. He was too shy to say such shameless words. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanjie. Chapter 2. September 1st was the first day of orientation for colleges and universities. Li Jie followed the crowd out of the train station and saw the orientation staff from major colleges and universities, holding signs that read "Welcome freshmen from such and such university," waiting for the new students. Li Jie found the sign of Hongcheng Normal University and walked over. After showing his admission letter, he boarded the school bus under the guidance of a senior. There were already 5 or 6 people in the car. Li Jie found a seat by the window and sat down. He quietly looked at the scenery outside the window. The scene when he checked in his previous life appeared in his mind, which made him feel a lot. "Dad, let's sit here." A beautiful girl with long bangs, who looked extremely pure and well-behaved, walked onto the school bus accompanied by a middle-aged man. The two sat in the seat opposite Li Jie. Sat down. The middle-aged man wore a pair of black-rimmed glasses and looked serious. "It's great to stay in Xishan to go to school. You have to go to Hongcheng, which is more than 2,000 miles away. It's inconvenient to go home. You are a girl in a place where you are unfamiliar with life. What if something happens? What to do?" The girl hugged the middle-aged man's arm and shook it coquettishly. "Dad, don't worry. Don't worry, I will take good care of myself. If you really don't want me to worry, you won't secretly change your choice. Do you think your mother and I are too strict with you, so that's why you run so far?" The middle-aged man's tone was mixed with a bit of helplessness. Li Jie glanced at the girl and thought she looked familiar, as if he had seen her somewhere before, but he couldn't remember her for a moment. "Hello, classmate, my name is Li Jie, majoring in Chinese language and literature." Li Jie greeted the girl with a smile. "If you can't remember who the other party is, just go and ask." Of course, if Li Jie had just entered college in his previous life, he would not have had the courage to strike up a conversation with such a beautiful girl. At this time, Tan Hui also got on the school bus, and happened to see the scene of Li Jie chatting with the girl. She felt inexplicably uncomfortable, frowned slightly, and looked at Li Jie with more disgust. "Hello, my name is Xiao Jiao, majoring in tourism management," the girl said with a slight smile. "Xiao Jiao? Xiao Jiao?" The memory is instantly awakened. "Please, just give me the pot, okay?" A cute and sultry smile appeared in Li Jie's mind. He really couldn't connect the quiet, well-behaved girl in front of him with the annoying little goblin in his memory who was sometimes cute, sometimes flirtatious, pure and lustful, and the guy who had a crush on him. It turned out that President Jiao, who had just entered college, was still a well-behaved little girl and could not flirt at all. When Li Jie went to college, there were no recognized school beauties or department beauties in the school, but there were always a few beautiful and active girls in each department who stood out and were sought after by the boys. Xiao Jiao is one of them. She has a pure and lovely appearance, and her every frown and smile are particularly charming. She is also very good at acting coquettishly, and she is very willing to flirt with others. People give her the nickname President Jiao. So good at flirting. Use this to test boys. Which boy can stand this test? So there are so many boys chasing her, and she never even has to recharge her phone bill. There are always boys who take the initiative to help her recharge. However, there are many boys chasing her, and there are more rumors about her. In short, Xiao Jiao was definitely a man of the hour during Li Zhe's college days. Li Zhe briefly chatted with Xiao Jiao and noticed the caution in Jiao's father's eyes, so he said no more. He just shook his head secretly in his heart. Father Jiao was too strict with his daughter. This kind of too strict control can easily cause the child's rebellious psychology. The more you don't let me do something, the more I will do it. Xiao Jiao's personality changed drastically after going to college, which was not unrelated to family factors. After waiting for almost half an hour, the bus was full and the school bus started slowly and drove out of Hongcheng City. The main campus of Hongcheng Normal College, where Li Zhe is located in Meishan Town, an outer suburb of Lingnan District. It was a new campus built in 2003. There are also Hongcheng Police Vocational College, Hongcheng Aviation Vocational and Technical College, and 2 other universities nearby. Although it is located in the suburbs, relatively remote and has inconvenient transportation, the campus covers a large area, has a high greening rate, is surrounded by mountains and rivers, and has a very beautiful environment. After driving for more than an hour, the school bus finally arrived at the school. In September in the south, the weather is still extremely hot, with the scorching sun in the sky. The campus is bustling with excitement and a festive atmosphere. Old students welcome new students and guide them to various offices to go through the admission procedures. Young students are everywhere coming and going, full of energy. As soon as Li Zhe and the other freshmen got off the school bus, several seniors wearing red vests and red caps took the initiative to greet them and told them how to go through the admission process. The seniors like Tan Hui and Xiao Jiao, who have good looks, are even more enthusiastic. They rush to help carry their luggage and run errands to help. However, ordinary boys like Li Zhe and others are not so accepting. See you soon. After a senior student gave Li Zhe a few pointers and asked him if he needed a phone card, she ignored him. Li Zhe guessed that she mainly came here to sell phone cards. Dragging his suitcase and walking on the hot asphalt road, Li Zhe looked at this familiar yet unfamiliar campus. Unexpectedly, he would be back here again after 10 years. It has to be said that although Li Zhe studied at an ordinary second-tier college, the quality of girls is really not bad. Central and South Province is a place where beauties are born. In addition, it is a normal college with a very high proportion of girls, so casually I scanned and saw a few pretty girls. However, girls in the South are delicate, but their height is generally shorter and their legs are not long enough. Watching the slender and coolly dressed girls coming and going, Li Zhe sighed sadly. The weather was really hot. After sitting in the sun for a while, Li Zhe started to sweat. When he found that there were long queues in front of each registration point, he immediately gave up the idea of applying for admission first. There are 3 days for new students to register, and today is only the first day, so why bother? In the last life, when Li Zhe was in school, he first helped Tan Hui run around to complete the admission procedures, and then sent her to the dormitory, and then returned to go through the procedures for himself. After all the work, it was already 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and he was tired. Not only was I sweating profusely, but I also missed lunch. In the end, all he got was a cold thank you from Tan Hui, not even a thank you. Li Zhe didn't think it was worth it to him even if he thought about it. When he came to the bulletin board and took a look at the dormitory allocation list, Li Zhe quickly found his name. Just like in his previous life, he was assigned to Dormitory 7, Building 406. Because it is a new campus, the dormitories are newly built and are very new and beautiful. The dormitory is a 6-person room with bunk beds, equipped with desks and cabinets, and uses a unified public restroom. There is a public bathroom, but there is no hot water, so you can only wash it. Cold shower. After paying a 20 yuan deposit and getting the key from the dormitory manager, Li Jie went up to the 4th floor and opened the door of dormitory 406. He found that there was no one in the room. He was the first to arrive. Putting the suitcase on the lower bunk by the window and occupying a bed first, Li Jie stood by the window and looked at it for a while, then turned around and left the dormitory calmly. After leaving the dormitory, Li Jie touched his messy hair and decided to cut it first. This messy hairstyle was really an eyesore. I went to the small shopping mall on campus and spent 35 yuan in the barber shop on the 2nd floor to have the barber design a refreshing hairstyle. After cutting his hair, Li Jie stood in front of the mirror and took a look and found that the barber's skills were really good. He originally looked average, but now he looked a little handsome. It's just that the clothes I'm wearing don't fit well. The short-sleeved t-shirts and jeans are all sold at street stalls worth tens of yuan, and the styles are also very old and vulgar. Li Jie planned to go to the city when he had time to buy some better clothes. In fact, as long as boys are tall enough, have good facial features, and dress up carefully, they won't be too bad. Personal temperament, hairstyle, clothing, speech, and behavior, these factors have a great impact on personal image. Even if you don't have a good-looking appearance, as long as you have the following characteristics, the person will be handsome. In his last life, Li Jie was too stingy with himself, but he was very generous to his family and friends. He never wanted to spend more money on himself. He went to the cheapest barber shop for haircuts and only bought clothes from street stalls. As a result, we suffered a great loss in terms of image and lost many opportunities. If you don't even love yourself, who do you expect to love you? Li Jie didn't understand such a simple truth until many years later. After coming out of the barber shop, he checked the time and saw that it was already 11 o'clock. Li Jie went directly to the canteen. There are 2 main canteens on campus, the Minjiao restaurant and the Stars restaurant, which are right next to each other, which is very convenient for students. Li Jie went to Minjiao restaurant, which was larger and had a richer menu. Although he hasn't applied for a meal card yet, there are many small windows in the cafeteria where he can use cash directly. Li Jie skillfully climbed up to the 2nd floor, went to the rice bowl window, and ordered a minced meat and eggplant rice bowl. I have to say that prices were really cheap in 2007. A large portion of minced meat and eggplant rice bowl only costs 7 yuan, and a small portion was 6 yuan. If you eat it at the big window on the 1st floor, it will be even cheaper. A portion of spicy tofu costs 1 yuan, a portion of stir-fried pork with garlic moss costs 2 yuan and a half, and a portion of chicken steak costs 3.5 yuan. It is enough to save a little on 300 or 400 a month's food expenses. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanjie. Chapter 3. After lunch, Li Jie returned to the small shopping mall and wandered around the second-hand bookstore on the 1st floor. In his previous life, when Li Jie went to college, he often came to this second-hand bookstore to read books on weekends. At that time, he had just come into contact with online novels and was extremely fascinated by them. He would read them for a long time. When he got tired of standing and reading, he would squat down to read them. When he got tired of squatting and reading, he would simply sit on the ground. Novels are all pirated books, and the quality of paper and printing is relatively poor. Many novels are still missing pages. Often when you are enjoying reading, you will find that there is no more content. So Li Jie began to look for follow-up content on the internet. Most of them could be found, but a few that could not be found, were the author eunuchs. Later, after getting used to reading novels online, he rarely came to this bookstore to read books. Li Jie randomly pulled out a novel in front of the bookshelf, opened it and flipped through a few pages, but couldn't read it at all. Now, he no longer had the same state of mind as before. Girls' dormitory, 4th floor, dormitory 210. As soon as Xiao Jiao walked in, he saw an extremely tall and beautiful girl, over 170 centimeters tall, with cascading hair and extremely well dressed, making the bed. When the girl saw Xiao Jiao coming in, she stood up and greeted her with a smile. "Classmate, you are also assigned to this dormitory, right?" "Hello, my name is Bai Wei." Then she said to Father Jiao, "Are you my uncle?" Xiao Jiao is not short either, with a height of 165 centimeters, which is relatively tall among girls, but compared to Bai Wei, she is still half a head shorter. "Hello, my name is Xiao Jiao." Father Jiao said, "Classmate, where are you from?" "I'm from Ludong." "Ludong," Father Jiao sounded a little surprised. "It's such a long way. If you come here alone, will your parents be relieved?" "No way, they are busy with work and have no time." Bai Wei smiled. "Uncle, where are you from?" "We are from Baihe province and from Xishan. It's also far away from Hongcheng." "Yes," Father Jiao glanced at his daughter. "This child has to travel so far to go to school. The distance is too far and we can't take care of her. We will have to trouble you to take care of her in the future." Father Jiao had a good impression of the cheerful and generous Bai Wei. "You're too polite. Xiao Jiao and I are roommates, and it's our duty to take care of each other." After saying that, Bai Wei glanced at Xiao Jiao, with a complicated look in her eyes. "Actually, I envy Xiao Jiao for having such a good father like you." "Hello, I'm Zhang Kaiyang." At this time, a girl with short hair walked in dragging a large suitcase. At the same time, dormitory 408 is upstairs. A rather handsome tall boy walked into the dormitory with Tan Hui carrying his luggage. At this time, two girls had already arrived in the dormitory. One of the girls has dark skin, is petite, has a ponytail, and is a cute type. The other girl is taller, has a fair complexion, wears a pair of rimless glasses, and looks cute and quiet. The short and cute girl took the initiative and said, "Classmate, are you also from dormitory 408? "Hello, my name is Huo Lily, and I am a native of Hongcheng." "My name is Chen Wenjing, from southern Fujian." Another tall Wenjing girl also followed. "Hello, my name is Tan Hui, from Haihe province." "Haihe province? This is too far." Huo Lily clicked her tongue. "Then why do you come so far away to study?" Tan Hui said calmly, "I have lived in the northeast since I was a child, and I just wanted to come to the south to see it." "Who is this handsome guy?" Huo Lily looked at Tan Hui again. The tall boy took the initiative and smiled, "My name is Zhao Yang. I am a sophomore in the physical education department. I came here a year earlier than you. I am relatively familiar with the school. If you have anything you don't understand, you can come to me." "It turns out to be a sophomore senior." "I see, senior, you don't want us to find you, but you just want Zai to find you, right?" Huo Lily joked with a smile. Tan Hui said to Zhao Yang, "Thank you, senior, I really trouble you today." "It's nothing. As a senior, you should help your juniors." Zhao Yang paused and then said, "It's already noon. How about I treat you to dinner? It can be considered as a blessing for you." "No, I've already troubled you enough, senior, today. How can I still ask you to treat me? If I have time later, I'll treat you, senior." Tan Hui declined. Zhao Yang smiled and said, "Okay, It's settled, I'll wait for your meal, junior sister. It was as if he didn't notice that Tan Hui was just being polite. Shall we leave a phone number? Tan Hui hesitated and nodded. Good. As soon as Zhao Yang left, Huo Lily immediately joked, Zai, it seems that the senior is really interested in you. Tan Hui smiled and said nothing. Next to her, Chen Wenjing, who had been silent until now, suddenly said, Zai, Hai province is so far away from Hongcheng. Did you come here alone? Hearing this, Tan Hui hesitated. Yeah, she subconsciously didn't want to mention Li Jie. Well, Zai, you are really amazing. How far can you go alone without being afraid at all? As she spoke, Chen Wenjing showed admiration in her eyes. Wenjing, didn't you come to register alone? Tan Hui changed the subject. She became upset when she thought of Li Jie. Chen Wenjing shook her head. No, I came with my boyfriend, otherwise I wouldn't dare to come alone. Boyfriend? Huo Lily suddenly became interested. Wenjing, do you have a boyfriend? Is he also from our college? Chen Wenjing was a little embarrassed. We are high school classmates. We applied for this school together for the college entrance examination. His major was Chinese language and literature. Huo Lily sighed, it's great. From high school to college, this kind of relationship is really enviable. Majoring in Chinese language and literature, Tan Hui suddenly asked, Wenjing, which dormitory does your boyfriend live in? Study 406 on the 7th floor. Study 406 on the 7th floor? Tan Hui couldn't help but be startled. When she was looking at the dormitory allocation list, she accidentally glanced at it and happened to see that Li Jie's dormitory was in 406, the 7th floor of the school. After coming out of the second-hand bookstore, Li Jie wandered around the small shopping mall and bought a set of luggage from a senior student, which included bedding, mosquito nets, wash basins, rice bowls and other daily necessities. The same thing costs 300 yuan to get from the school, but only 200 yuan is enough to buy it from the seniors. Every school season, many smart seniors will purchase some quilts and daily necessities, and then sell them to freshmen to earn the price difference. After all, the school does not force freshmen to buy uniform luggage. After Li Jie returned to the dormitory with his luggage, he found that the other 5 roommates were there. His suitcase was placed at the door. A white and fat boy with small eyes wearing a pair of black-rimmed glasses occupied it. His bunk. The other party was shirtless, revealing his white fat. He just made the bed and was sweating profusely. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanjie. Chapter 4. Seeing that his bed was occupied, Li Jie's face suddenly turned cold and he walked over. Classmate, I occupy this bunk first. Everything must be done on a first-come, first-served basis, right? Classmate, is that box yours? I'm so sorry, the fat and white boy had a very good attitude and apologized profusely. That's right. I'm the last one to arrive. There's only one upper bunk left. But I'm too fat. It's really inconvenient for me to have upper and lower bunks. I wonder if I can discuss with you and let's change the beds? Classmate, please help me. Discuss. Did you discuss this? Li Jie also remembered who the other party was. This boy's name was Yang Hao. If a person is shameless, he is invincible. This is what he said. You are a smart person and always treat others as fools. You call me brother on your lips, but you are an idiot in your heart. With no skin and no face, he takes advantage of people everywhere. At this time, if Li Jie gives in, not only will the other party not appreciate it, but they will think you are stupid, weak, and can be bullied, and they will not take you seriously. Discuss it with me, right? Li Jie sneered. I don't agree. After saying that, he rolled up the other party's quilt and threw it directly on the upper bunk at the door. This bed is in the worst position. It is easy to be disturbed, and it is also easy to catch cold from the wind. In his previous life, Li Jie was the last to arrive, so he slept on this bunk for 4 years and had a deep understanding of it. The most annoying thing is people like Yang Hao who just don't close the door. Unexpectedly, Li Jie was so disrespectful. Yang Hao's face suddenly became sad. He stared at Li Jie for a long time, but in the end he didn't have an attack and forced a smile. Since you don't agree, forget it. The reality is like this. If you care too much about face and blindly compromise and tolerate, you will only suffer losses and be bullied. Learn to say no and don't be afraid of breaking up. Instead, you will gain respect. Seeing that the atmosphere was a bit tense, a tall boy with dark skin and a strong body stood up to smooth things over and said, "Okay, we are in the same dormitory, don't let this trivial matter ruin the friendship. Yang Hao, if you like to sleep on the lower bunk, I'll switch with you. The upper bunk is actually cleaner." "Brother Gang, thank you so much." Yang Hao was overjoyed and thanked Brother Gang repeatedly. Brother Gang turned to Li Jie and said, "My name is He Gang, from Ludong province. You can call me Gangzi." After speaking, he pointed at Yang Hao. "This is Yang Hao, from southern Henan province." Then, he pointed at the other 3 boys. Chen Baiun, a native of Hongcheng. Hearing this, a fair-skinned, somewhat handsome boy nodded coldly. Lin Jing, from southern Fujian. A slightly chubby boy with a gentle temperament gave Li Jie a friendly smile. Wang Zhaiheng, from Haihe province. Wang Zhaiheng has slightly dark skin, is about 173 centimeters tall, has a very sunny appearance, and his clothes are relatively trendy. "Brother, judging from your accent, it sounds like you're from the northeast." Li Jie nodded, "Yes, I am also from Haihe province." Wang Zhaiheng said in surprise, "We are fellow villagers. I am from Harbin. How about you?" "From the mountain city." He Gang is like a boss, since we are destined to live in the same dormitory, we will get along well with each other and help each other in the future. After introducing each other, the 6 people got to know each other. In fact, with memories from his previous life, Li Jie was very familiar with his 5 roommates. There is no brotherhood between roommates in the novel. It can only be said to be an ordinary roommate relationship. There is no vigorous friendship and no major conflicts. After graduation, there is little contact. Among the 5 people, He Gang loves face and always thinks of himself as the boss of the dormitory, but he is still quite righteous. Wang Zhaiheng, who appears to be a brotherly brother, is actually very scheming. Lin Jing has a gentle temperament and is well-rounded in dealing with others. Chen Boyun, a native of Hongcheng, has always been he is a loner. As for Yang Hao, I can only say he. In his previous life, Li Jie only had a good relationship with He Gang and Lin Jing. He was a superficial brother with fellow countryman Wang Zhaiheng, and he was just a nod with Chen Baiun and Yang Hao. Chen Baiun is a local. After greeting Li Jie and the others, he went home directly. Li Jie made the bed and lay on it, listening to He Gang and Yang Hao chatting. He seemed a bit out of place, but as a man in his 30s, he really couldn't play with these young people. Taking out the Nokia 1100 from his pocket, Li Jie played with Snake out of boredom and couldn't help but miss his Huawei IP30. "How about we go online? Let's go out for a walk at this time," He Gang suggested. "Okay," Wang Zhaiheng and Yang Hao agreed. Lin Jingdao, "I won't go, I've already made an appointment with my girlfriend." He Gang said in surprise, "Lin Zi, do you have a girlfriend?" Lin Dingding nodded, "We are high school classmates." He Gang immediately expressed envy. Wang Zhaiheng said, "Lin Zi, he should be the first one in our dormitory to be single, right?" Yang Hao said, "Brother Lin, what major is my sister-in-law in? Is she pretty?" "This kid is good at talking and calls everyone brother." He is actually 1 year older than Lin Jing. Lin Jing said, she studied tourism management. She's not particularly pretty, but she's pretty good. His Higang became even more envious. Yang Hao said that he must ask his sister-in-law to help introduce more girls to everyone. Lin Jing said happily, no problem. Yang Hao suddenly said to Li Jie, brother Jie, will you come with us? Sometimes, Li Jie really admires Yang Hao's shameless energy, and it's not an irony. The two of them had just had a very unpleasant quarrel, but he acted like nothing was wrong. If Li Jie had been so shameless, he wouldn't have been so miserable in his last life. His Higang and Wang's Haiheng also said, Jizi, let's go together. Li Jie didn't refuse. He didn't want to appear too unsociable, and he also checked some information online. In this way, a group of 4 people chatted and laughed out of the dormitory and walked outside the school. Yang Hao's small eyes were evil, staring at the passing girls in cool clothes, and said, summer is so good. His Higang couldn't help but slap him on the back, and said with a smile, Huzi, please don't be so damn naughty, it's easy to scare other girls. Wang's Haiheng said, our school doesn't have a good reputation, but the quality of the girls is really good. Yang Hao chuckled, in our normal college, there are many girls and few boys, so it is easy to find a girlfriend. I have decided to find a girlfriend as soon as possible and dedicate my precious body. You still have a precious body? Huzi, please have some face. His Higang almost burst out laughing, and Wang's Haiheng couldn't help laughing either. Li Jie thought to himself, Yang Hao is really a living treasure. Yang Hao said, brother Gang, brother Hung, what kind of girlfriend do you want to find? Wang's Haiheng said that if he wants to find a beautiful girl, it is best to be a southern girl. His Higang said that you don't need to be beautiful, just gentle and obedient. Li Jie stood aside, watching them talk and laugh with cold eyes, and couldn't help shaking his head inwardly. On the surface, Yang Hao looked like a clown, but in fact, His Higang and himself in the previous life were the real clowns. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 5. In the last life, Li Jie was also a member of the discussion, and he won a lot of envy when talking about Tan Hui. As a result, during the 4 years of college, Chen Baiyun and Wang's Haiheng were singled out one after another. Even Yang Hao had a girlfriend who was pretty good looking. Only he and His Higang, the 2 straight men, were left single. Jizi, what kind of girlfriend do you want? His Higang seemed to realize that they had ignored Li Jie, and turned to him. Yang Hao was the first to say, I think brother Jie must be looking for someone with a good personality. Li Jie smiled and said, I must look for someone who is beautiful. Personality is not important, as long as she is beautiful, that's enough. He kept saying in his mind, he is looking for a girlfriend, not a wife. Wang's Haiheng agreed, Jizi's words are very clear. When looking for a girlfriend, you must find a beautiful one. If you take her out, you will lose face. His Higang disagreed and shook his head, I still think character is more important. Yang Hao also echoed, I think brother Gang is right. Li Jie glanced at Yang Hao inexplicably. This kid was really a master at pretending to be stupid. Who would have thought that he started eating meat in the first year of high school and learned to give warmth to the young ladies who had made mistakes? In fact, Li Jie wants to make money more than finding a girlfriend. In The Richest Man in Zihong City, Xiaozu doesn't like money, but every moment Wang Duyu touches her, she needs money. This is reality. In this era, campus love is still very innocent, but love does not require money, but chasing girls requires money, raising girlfriends requires money, chasing beautiful girls, and raising beautiful girlfriends requires money even more. Outside the small south gate of the normal college, there are many stalls selling snacks and fruits. Walking south along the road for about 200 or 300 meters is a small commercial street with many small shops on both sides, such as small restaurants, supermarkets, and barber shops, hotels, etc., including 4 or 5 internet cafes. The one Li Jie and the others went to was called Xingai Internet Cafe. It was on the second floor of a 4-story building. The first floor was a supermarket, and the third and fourth floors were hotels. It was the largest, with more than 100 machines, and it had just opened, and the machines were also relatively new. The internet fee is not expensive, only 1.5 yuan an hour. At this time, the profit-making period of internet cafes has passed and has entered the era of low profits. In Li Jie's memory, this Xingai Internet Cafe has conducted many activities in order to attract customers, including 50 recharges for 50 recharges, and 50 cents for members to use the internet, etc., but it closed down more than a year later. 4 machines were opened at the front desk. He's Hegang and the other 2 played CS online. Li Jie opened QQ first, but when he logged in, it showed that the account or password was wrong. He tried again, but it still didn't work. Then, Li Jie realized that this QQ account was a new one he registered in his sophomore year because his old QQ account in high school was stolen. More than 10 years later, Li Jie no longer remembered what his old QQ account was, so he simply registered a new one. After registering a new QQ account, Li Jie opened the browser and checked the house prices. He found that the average house price in Beijing at this time was about 12,000, and the average price of Tongtianyuan and Biwen homes outside the 5th Ring Road was only 7,000 to 8,000. Li Jie sighed in his heart. He didn't expect that he could still see the housing prices in the capital in the 1,000 yuan era. Since 2005, housing prices in Beijing have been rising, but many experts are bearish on housing prices. If Beijing's housing market is under control, housing prices will fall. In 2008, housing prices in Beijing will drop to an average of 5,000 yuan per square meter. A house price of 3,000 yuan per square meter in Beijing is not a dream. It's really ironic that domestic housing prices have been in decline for more than 10 years, but they have fallen to the point where the national average housing price has exceeded 10,000. However, no matter how cheap the house price is, Li Jie has no money to buy it now. For reborn people, making money is not a problem. Even if Li Jie goes to school and works normally like ordinary people, he only needs to use the money saved every month to collect some coins and sell some stocks of Maotai and Tencent. After more than 10 years, he will still be able to make money. At least he's worth tens of millions or hundreds of millions. The difficult thing is how to make the first pot of gold as quickly as possible in a short period of time. In particular, Li Jie was still a student at this time, and his ways of making money were extremely limited. And to consider the feelings of his family, he cannot drop out of school, at least not for a short period of time. It seems that I have no choice but to go back to my old ways, writing online articles. In his previous life, Li Jie started trying to write online articles when he was a junior in college and continued to write for 10 years. It must be said that he did not have much talent in writing. In the past few years, he wrote one after another until he was 20. When I was 5 or 6 years old, I finally reached a certain threshold and finally became a hit. At that time, the fee for writing a book far exceeded his salary, and the work was not going well, so Li Jie resigned on impulse. This impulse directly caused Li Jie's life to fall into a complete trough in the next few years. New books hit the market one after another, and old books were blocked. He suddenly lost his income, his girlfriend broke up with him, and even his relatives complained a lot about him. The illusion of life is in pieces. In despair, Li Jie saw a lot clearly. Frustrated, he left Jinmen, where he had lived for 6 or 7 years, and returned to his hometown, Shancheng, a small 18th-tier city, where he became an ordinary teacher in a private school. I only write novels in my spare time. In his last life, Li Jie's online writing career was undoubtedly a failure. but when he wrote novels in 2007, with Li Zhe's more than 10 years of experience in writing online, he was well aware of all the creative ideas that would become popular in later generations, so he definitely had a lot to do. Li Zhe casually closed the query web page and opened the Kidian Chinese website. A strange yet familiar page comes into view. The Kidian page has been revised many times in the past 10 years, and it has become very different. Seeing the old version of the page again, Li Zhe felt very emotional. I remember that when the version was first revised, he was not used to the new version of the page. Every time he opened the starting point, he would manually return to the old version of the page. This happened more than 10 years ago. Evil Spirit, Veterinary from Another World, Legend of the Mage, The Best Servant, Black Mountain Old Demon, Infinite Horror, Star Change, Celebrating More Than Years, Online Game SimCity, Fake Hero, Stealing the Light. Each of them is a popular novel at this time, and they are also works that have left a strong mark on the history of online literature. Li Zhe is even more familiar with the names of these novels. Among them, many novels were his inspiration for online writing. It must be said that this is the golden age of online writing, with all kinds of themes blooming and excellent works by newcomers emerging one after another. This is the best time for writers. There are not so many constraints when writing a book. You don't have to worry about 404. Not only do you have to worry about promotion, but you don't have to worry about copyright. As long as the novel you write is innovative and exciting enough, readers will follow it. After briefly browsing it, Li Zhe, combined with his memory, had a general understanding of the trend of internet writing at that time. The popularity of fairy tales has passed. Since Piao Miao Journey created a complete system of cultivating immortals, the fairy tale theme has become very popular, and countless authors have followed the trend and written fairy novels. The pinnacle is Buddha is the Tao, which has exploded in reputation. Directly created the prehistoric Feng Shen style novels. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 6. But over the past few years, the routines of fairy novels have been written badly. The golden elixir is not as good as a dog, and the nascent soul is everywhere. This sentence directly reflects that readers are tired of seeing the misty system. The most popular genre nowadays is fantasy novels, to be precise, Western fantasy and other world travel novels. Shaolin Monk in Another World, Zhang Sanfan Travels in Another World, Cultivation Master in Another World, etc., Ancient Martial Arts Successors, Cultivation Disciples, Sword Immortals, De Luo Jinxian, Repairmen, Veterinarians, Top Economics Students on the Earth. Talents from various professions have traveled to the world of swords and magic, violently fighting high-level monsters, encountering mercenary groups, pretending to be slapped in the face, beautiful mercenary group leaders. Elf beauties, kingdom princesses, demon witches, all the beauties have thrown themselves into their arms. Embrace, establish territory, and compete for hegemony on the continent. In short, it is a routine, and many authors who follow suit simply modify the background of the protagonist. From the perspective of future generations, these novels will be too old-fashioned, but readers at this time enjoyed them very much. In fact, Baizai won the Rookie of the Year title in 2007 and 2008 respectively with Vet from Another World and Tudo with Warcraft and Sword Master from Another World. It can be seen that the theme of Western fantasy and other world travel is very popular. In addition, it is worth mentioning that Z University released the masterpiece Infinite Horror in April this year, creating the Infinite Stream. In the next few years, various Infinite Stream works will be released one after another, including Nightmare Space and Bloody City. With Shadow Street, with Silver Trojan, it can be said that it has a far-reaching impact. More than 10 years later, infinite flow novels still occupy a place in online literature. For his first work, Liege decided to write Eastern fantasy after careful consideration. Eastern fantasy is a fantasy novel based on Eastern elements. At this time, Gideon does not have the category of Eastern fantasy. In Liege's memory, the first Oriental fantasy novel should be by his God of War, actually after Ascension is earlier. The protagonist is a child of a small family with average qualifications. He encounters adventures in a lake, has rapid progress in martial arts, competes in martial arts, and has a family. Fights, martial arts concepts, and sect disputes are all common clichés in Eastern fantasy novels. The subsequent Sword Master further improved this routine, and the training system of Eastern fantasy novels was initially formed. Therefore, Liege's Martial Arts Without Limits can be regarded as the originator of the Eastern fantasy genre. That's right, Martial Arts Without Limits is the title of Liege's new book. In fact, Liege also considered directly copying Dopo and Mortal, but this idea only passed by and was quickly rejected by him. It would be a lie to say that you are not excited about a big IP worth hundreds of millions. The so-called sense of shame is not worth mentioning in front of a small goal. It's not because he doesn't want to, but because Liege hasn't finished reading both novels, and after so many years, he has almost forgotten the specific plot. Liege has read Mortal the most. He has read all the human world chapters, most of the spiritual world chapters, and the beginning of the fairy world chapters. In addition, he has also read many similar novels about mortals. He might consider reading another one in the future. Works of Ordinary People. As for Dopo, Liege only saw Xiao Yan and Queen Medusa fighting. In other words, the moral integrity of the author of the novel is getting lower and lower, and he will not let go of fairies, ghosts, snakes, insects, and even a vine. Although it cannot be copied completely, it can be used as a reference. The breakup plot in Dopo, the adventure in the lake in God of War, the high-octane martial arts fighting in The Master of the Sword, the fast-paced and exciting upgrading routines, these exciting elements in the novel can be fully integrated into his film Martial Arts Without Limits. In the Jinwu continent, there are thousands of sects and a forest of strong ones. Ye Chen, a child of a small family, transformed from a mediocre person to a genius due to a strange incident, and became a martial arts wizard. Not only did he have a photographic memory, a keen perception, and an astonishing ability to comprehend, he has since embarked on the road to seek the pinnacle of martial arts. This was Liege's initial conception of this novel. He opened a document and began to outline the story. In the last life, when Liege was writing books in the early days, he had a big problem: he didn't like to write outlines. After I conceived a good idea, I started writing it with great enthusiasm. After writing a few chapters, I started circulating the book. This resulted in the fact that the novels he wrote were very good in the early stages, quite innovative and full of highlights. However, because there was no complete outline, after writing more than 100,000 words, the enthusiasm began to fade away. In order to ensure updates, I had to write whatever I thought of. As a result, the quality of the novel declined rapidly, and the originally good ideas were ruined. There was even one time when Liege watched helplessly as a newcomer who followed his creativity wrote a fine article. After that profound lesson, Liege also learned to write an outline. But there is no good inspiration. Liege's coding speed is extremely fast. His fingers are tapping quickly on the keyboard. Lines of text appear quickly on the document. He occasionally pauses for a moment to consider the words or conceive of the plot. Soon, in just over an hour, Liege finished writing a brief outline of a story of more than 5,000 words. These include background, character background, world background, settings, power system settings, skill settings, weapon settings, characters, protagonist, supporting role, villain, forces, and plot lines. After spending another half an hour revising it, I felt that there was basically no problem, so Li Jie was ready to copy the outline content to QQ space and save it. At this time, the phone suddenly rang. Li Jie took out his cell phone and looked at it. The number was from Haihe province. After pressing the connect button, a familiar yet unfamiliar voice came from the other side. "Jizi, have you reported in? How is your school?" It was Guo Jian, Li Jie's best friend in high school. After the college entrance examination, Li Jie came to Hongcheng, while Guo Jian stayed in Harbin, the provincial capital, and attended an ordinary college. As the distance grew, the contact between the two gradually decreased. It was not until Li Jie returned to his hometown mountain city more than 10 years later that the two became familiar with each other again. Li Jie was drinking with Guo Jian before he was reborn. "Absolutely, what about you?" "Forget it, it's a rubbish school." Guo Jian asked again, "By the way, how are you and Tan Hui doing?" "It doesn't matter, I give up." "Damn it, Jizi, what do you think? You went all the way to Hongcheng to go to school for her, but just after you registered, you told me that you gave up and stopped pursuing her?" "What happened?" Guo Jian was shocked. Li Jie said calmly, "There's no reason, I just suddenly don't want to chase him anymore." "Don't want to chase anymore?" "Jizi, no matter what, you should at least confess your feelings. What's going on with you? Did Tan Hui show her cards to you and reject you?" "That's right," Li Jie's tone was ambiguous. "Alas," Guo Jian sighed, "I told you that you and Tan Hui were not suitable, but you didn't listen. If I had known this, you might as well have stayed in Harbin with your buddies. Our normal university is no better than Hongcheng Normal University. Now that I'm making a fuss, I haven't gotten anything out of it. Actually, I was the one who forced Tan Hui to kiss her. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn." Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 7. Damn, are you serious? Jizi, are you kidding me? I'm just kidding you, Li Jie smiled. I guess so. I know you don't have the guts, Guo Jian paused and then said, Tan Hui is a bit pretentious. For this kind of girl, the more submissive you are, the less she will look down on you. Jizi, you have to be stronger. Chasing and fighting fiercely, maybe there will be some drama. Li Jie knew that Guo Jian's words were sincere, but Tan Hui was already a thing of the past to him. So he changed the subject with a smile, Brother Jian, don't worry, I will definitely find a very beautiful girl to be your younger brother and sister. Jizi, just brag, you brat, you've blown yourself up to the sky. Are you so proud of yourself? This conversation is so familiar. Li Jie suddenly remembered that when he and Guo Jian were drinking together before his rebirth, the two had exactly the same conversation. Li Jie was indeed bragging in his last life, but in this life he has the confidence to work hard and achieve it. The two chatted for a while and then hung up the phone. Li Jie copied the written outline to QQ space and saved it. Then he checked the time and found that it was almost 5 o'clock in the afternoon. He told He's Higang and others opposite him to get off the plane and go back first. He's Higang and Wang's Haihang said that they were going to get off soon and they all left together. Only Yang Hao said that he wanted to stay and play for a while. The three of them left the internet cafe together and were about to go back. He's Higang suddenly said, come on, come with me to buy a lottery ticket. It turns out that there is a welfare lottery shop not far from the internet cafe. Walking into the lottery shop, He's Higang picked up the pen and paper on the table, walked to the double color ball chart, and started picking numbers. Wang's Haihang looked around, Brother Gang, do you like to buy lottery tickets? I have never bought one. I have been buying lottery tickets since I was in high school. When I was lucky, I almost won the second prize. Unfortunately, I picked the wrong number and only won 3,000 yuan. Haiheng, Jizi, you both choose a bet to play, the money is mine. The owner of the lottery shop, a young woman in her 20s or 80s, also said, "Yes, these two classmates should also choose a bet. Maybe you are lucky and win 5 million in one fell swoop." Wang Haiheng was a little moved by what he said. "Then I will choose one bet." "How do I choose?" He's Higeng explained. "The red ball is chosen from 6 out of 33, and the blue ball is chosen from 1 out of 16. If you don't want to choose by yourself, you can also use the computer to randomly choose." "I'd better choose myself." Wang Haiheng also picked up a pen and paper and started to choose numbers. Li Jie shook his head. "I won't buy it. No serious person buys lottery tickets." At this time, there were still many people buying lottery tickets, and lottery shops could be seen everywhere. But more than 10 years later, although there are often news on the internet about someone winning a huge prize of 70, 80, or 100 million and emptying the prize pool, people's trust in lottery tickets continues to decrease. There is a joke: the probability of being struck by lightning on a rainy day is greater than the probability of winning 5 million double-colored balls. If you go out on a rainy day, you may be struck by lightning, and expecting to win big by buying lottery tickets is definitely a daydream. Regardless of others, Li Jie would not buy lottery tickets anyway. "Jazzy, you're welcome. I just bought a bet to have fun. If you really win, just remember to share half with me," He's Higeng joked. Li Jie insisted and refused. "No need." He's Higeng smiled and handed the selected number to the proprietress. "Put 5 bets, and then randomly place one bet for my classmate." The three of them each held a lottery ticket in their hands and walked out of the lottery shop. He's Higeng said with a smile, "The lottery will be drawn tomorrow night. Maybe one of the three of us will win the big prize." Hearing this, Li Jie was suddenly stunned. This scene seemed familiar. A wave of memory emerged from the depths of his mind, and Li Jie remembered it instantly. In the last life, He's Higeng and Wang Haiheng also bought lottery tickets together, but it was not He's Higeng who chose randomly for him, but he chose it himself. More importantly, he also won the lottery, won the 6th level grand prize, 5 yuan. But among the three, only Li Jie won 5 yuan. Later, Li Jie used the 5 yuan to buy some oranges and divided them among several people in the dormitory. "Jazzy, what are you thinking about? Let's go." Hearing He's Higeng's shout, Li Jie came back to his senses, followed the two of them, and walked back absent-mindedly. In 2007, if you remembered the lottery numbers, you had a high chance of winning. At this time, not many corruption cases have been revealed. Li Jie remembered two pieces of news he had seen. The King of Harbin City Lottery Network won 25 million grand prizes from 2003 to 2004. In 2008, a young man from Shaoxing also won 25 million prizes. Both of these examples are well documented, not some mysterious guy wearing a hood to accept an award. But does Li Jie remember the winning lottery numbers? Of course he didn't remember. He even forgot about buying lottery tickets. How could he still remember the winning numbers? However, Li Jie remembered what number he bought back then. Because it was the first time in his life to buy a lottery ticket, the numbers were chosen based on his birthday. Li Jie's birthday is July 5, 1987. The numbers he chose are 01, 05, 07, 08, 09, 19 and 11, among which 1, 5, 7, 8, 9, and 19 are all numbers in his birthday. In addition, 1 and 9 are also the days to buy lottery tickets on September 1st, and 11 is the lottery draw day on September 2nd. The two numbers are added together. Therefore, even if more than 10 years have passed, Li Jie still remembers the set of numbers very clearly. As for the winning number, the blue ball must be 11. The reason why Li Jie won the $5 was because he won the blue ball, but he only won one red ball, which should be 8 among the consecutive numbers 7, 8, and 9. Li Jie really couldn't remember the other 5 numbers on the red ball. He only had a vague impression that there was a group of single-digit consecutive numbers. Is it 2 and 3? Wrong. That's 3 and 4? That's right, it should be 3 and 4. 3, 4, 5, and 7, 8, 9. I chose 5, 7, 8, and 9, but I chose 3, 4, and 8. Otherwise, if I had won any 3 consecutive 3 red balls add 1 blue ball is 10 UN. That is to say, the winning numbers that can be determined are probably the red ball 3, 4, 8, and the blue ball 11, and the numbers that can be eliminated are 1, 5, 7, 9, and 19. So the question is, how many combinations are there to choose 3 from 25? Considering that Li Jie barely passed the college entrance examination and had wasted his math skills for more than 10 years, he really couldn't figure it out. Back in the dormitory, Li Jie quickly took out a pen and paper and did some calculations. See, 25, 3 equal 25 24 23 / 2 / 3 equal 2300. 2300 multiplied by 2 is 4600. Can you win 5 million with a bet of 4600 UN? This calculation result made Li Jie feel extremely excited. Compared with the original probability of 1 in 17,721,088, it would cost 35,442,176 UN to win the first prize. This investment is simply not worth mentioning. Li Jie currently has about 13,780 UN in hand, of which 8,000 UN is the tuition and fees for his first year of college. Li Jie is taking the second degree, and the tuition is not much, only 4,500 UN a year, and the accommodation fee is only 800 UN, but there are many miscellaneous expenses in the first year. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuen. Chapter 8. Among them, 3,000 UN was his living expenses for the first semester. Because he had just entered college, his family provided relatively generous living expenses. In addition, there are still 2,780 UN, which he has saved little by little over the years of middle school and high school. Li Jie's family does not have the habit of giving pocket money to children. He is sensible and considerate of his parents' hard work and has never asked for pocket money. Just like he has never asked for new clothes, toys, or snacks since he was 5 or 6 years old. Li Jie doesn't like snacks. Don't you envy other children's new clothes, toys, and game consoles? Of course not. It's because he realized from a very young age that his family was not wealthy and it was not easy for his parents to make money, so he didn't want to cause any more trouble to them. What to do if you don't have pocket money? Just save it yourself. Most of Li Jie's 2017 or 800 UN was saved little by little from the meal expenses provided by his family, the money for clothes and stationery books, and was saved in the bank. There is less than 1,000 UN, which he earned from working during the summer after the college entrance examination. In his previous life, Li Jie had subsidized the 2017 to 800 UN into his living expenses, because it became increasingly difficult for him to manage the family and ask for money. Every time he opened his mouth, he felt like he was begging for help. Li Jie silently calculated in his mind, and took out all the money in his hand, which was just enough for him to win 3 bets of 5 million. He couldn't help but be glad that he didn't pay the tuition and miscellaneous fees today, otherwise it would not only be 8,000 UN, but also 8 million was gone in one fell swoop. If you really win the lottery, even after tax is deducted, you will have at least 12 million. Did you achieve your first 10 million in life? Thinking of this, Li Jie couldn't help but feel a little excited. Don't look at how many people are saying online. Even if you have hundreds of millions, you are not considered rich. It's just a house in the capital. In fact, not to mention in 2007, even more than 10 years later, 10 million would be enough to change the fate of most ordinary people. In second and third tier cities, buying a car and a house, marrying a good-looking wife, and living a comfortable life are definitely enough. In his last life, if Li Jie had had 10 million, he wouldn't have lived in such a miserable state. The biggest gap between people is money. You have better grades than the rich classmate in your class, you are more handsome than him, and you are better at dealing with people than him. But when you enter the society, others can easily crush you. This is the reality. This is true for the proud sons of heaven among the common people, let alone ordinary people among all living beings. Although Li Jie is reborn, this first pot of gold of more than 10 million is still extremely important to him. The first pot of gold is often the hardest to earn, but it is much easier to snowball after you have capital. What Li Jie is most indispensable after his rebirth is ways to make money, including hoarding houses, hoarding coins, buying mutai, Tencent stocks, etc. It is an investment that is sure to make a profit without losing any money. However, investment requires a lot of capital, and what Li Jie lacks is money and the first pot of gold. With more than 10 million, he will undoubtedly save a lot of time and energy in early capital accumulation. Li Jie is confident that in 10 years, this amount of more than 10 million will be turned into billions or even tens of billions. Do you want to borrow money and buy several times more? The more money there is, the bigger the snowball gets. But this idea was rejected by Li Jie the next moment. Because Li Jie couldn't completely guarantee that his memory was correct. After all, it happened more than 10 years ago, so it is extremely normal for the memory to be biased. In addition, there is also the butterfly effect. From the moment he is reborn, variables arise. Even if he remembers the number correctly, he may not actually win. Besides, is he really reborn? Didn't he travel to a similar parallel world? If it were a parallel world, there would be even more variables. Thinking of this, Li Jie suddenly calmed down. It's just like in the sketch I'm rich. Before I buy the lottery ticket, I start to wonder how to spend the money. Li Jie laughed at himself. There was no need to be too greedy. He would just use the money in his hand to try. If he won, he would have the first pot of gold. He would reach the peak of his life in advance. If he lost, it would not matter. The worst he could do was drop out of school and go work. Accumulate funds. With the knowledge and vision of a reborn person, success is only a matter of time. His Higeng originally proposed that everyone in the dormitory have a dinner together in the evening, but Chen Boyun went home, Lin Jing went to accompany his girlfriend, and even Yang Hao never came back from the internet cafe, so the dinner was definitely not possible. So, Li Jie, His Higeng, and Wang Haiheng went to the cafeteria to have dinner together. After dinner, Wang Haiheng disappeared, and His Higeng also went to visit other dormitories. Li Jie was left alone in the dormitory. He simply took out his notebook and pen and began to conceive of the first volume of Martial Arts Without Limits. Outline. Li Jie was used to using computers to code words, and then picking up a pen to write on paper. Li Jie was very uncomfortable for a while. He wrote too slowly and didn't say anything. The key is that he forgot to write when he picked up the pen. He couldn't help but feel lucky that he was reborn before registering for college. If he had been reborn before the college entrance examination, he might not have been able to pass the third level, let alone the second level. Li Jie wrote for more than an hour and barely managed to write less than 2,000 words. Looking at the messy handwriting on the notebook, which also contained a lot of pinyin, he couldn't help but shake his head. I thought to myself, if I win the lottery, the first thing I should do is buy a good laptop. That's right, he hadn't bought the lottery tickets yet, and he was thinking about how to spend the winnings first. After checking the time, it was almost 8 p.m. Li Jie simply stopped writing and decided to go practice boxing. After changing into a set of sports shorts and short sleeves, Li Jie went downstairs and left the dormitory. Walking on the campus at night, young couples on dates can be seen everywhere on the seats on the roadside, on the grass, and under the trees. At this time, the campus atmosphere was not as open as it would be more than 10 years later. Few couples dared to be in public anymore. They would act like no one was around and would find a hidden place if they wanted to be intimate. Ligia went all the way to the football field on the south side of the dormitory building. It is said to be a football field, but it is actually a large piece of wasteland with 2 goals set up at both ends of the field. There are 2 teams playing football on the court, and there are a few students running and exercising around. Ligia jogged for a while first. The venue was very large, with 1 lap covering 800 meters. Ligia ran 3 laps in one breath, but he was only slightly out of breath. Stopping, Ligia wiped the sweat from his forehead. He sweated so much not because he was tired, but because the weather was too hot. I have to say that Ligia's physical strength is really good at this time. Ligia loved running when he was in high school. He was a day student at that time. Every night after school, he would run home instead of taking the bus. His home is 5 or 6 kilometers away from the school, which means that Ligia runs 5 or 6 kilometers every day. In the beginning, I ran to relieve the fatigue of studying, but as time went by, I developed a habit. If I didn't run for a day, I would feel uncomfortable all over. By insisting on long-distance running every day, your body will gradually become stronger. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Liu Enjet. Chapter 9. So although he didn't eat well and was tired from studying, which made Ligia look extremely thin, his physical fitness was extremely good. Unfortunately, in his last life, Ligia rarely ran after going to college. Although he gained weight, his physical fitness was not as good as before. It's great to be young, Ligia couldn't help but sigh. The older I get, the more I understand the value of youth and health. When you are young, you don't know the value of youth until you never return to youth. At this moment, Ligia instantly understood that the most precious thing about his rebirth was not the countless opportunities to make money, but the youth and time that no amount of money could buy. It is important to live a new life and make money, but cherishing time and enjoying youth is more important. Don't waste your youth in confusion like your last life, leaving only pale memories and full of regrets. Before rebirth, I had no money and worked hard for money. After rebirth, I have money and still work hard for more money. What is the meaning of such a rebirth? At this time, Ligia had no intention of dropping out of school. You can make money slower and less, but you have to go to college again. Because, the moment you graduate from college and walk out of campus, your youth is over. After entering the society, the only thing left in your life is life. After finishing his run, Ligia walked slowly for a while to stretch his body. Then he found a place with few people and started boxing. The boxing technique Ligia practiced is called 5-step boxing. His boxing skills were neither inherited from his ancestors nor learned from the mysterious old man who boxed in the park. Instead, Ligia took traditional martial arts as an elective in his sophomore year and learned it from his teacher in class. There were more than 100 classmates who studied with him. When you hear this origin, does it seem very unqualified? In fact, this set of 5-step boxing is indeed very common. It is just one of the simplest routines among the traditional Chang Quan routines and is used to lay the foundation for entry into traditional martial arts. Li Jiagong was very interested in learning this set of 5-step boxing, and he would insist on practicing it for a short while every day. After all, every boy has a martial arts dream in his heart, but as time went by, he gradually relaxed. After he graduated from college, he gave up completely. After entering the society, he had many worries and no time to practice boxing. It wasn't until he had been writing for a long time, lacked exercise, and had an unstable work and rest schedule that he felt his body was getting worse and worse, and he couldn't do it without exercise, so he picked up this boxing method again. Before practicing boxing, stand in a stance. In his previous life, when Li Jiagong learned Zhuang Kung Fu from his teacher, he still didn't understand it. In his impression at that time, traditional martial arts were just martial arts routines, just like practicing Tai Chi in physical education class, which were all action routines. I feel that Zhuang is tiring and boring, and I just want the teacher to teach me the routine earlier. Later, Li Jie read Chinese martial arts novels and learned that Zhuang Kung Fu is the foundation of traditional martial arts. Practicing boxing without practicing Kung Fu will lead to nothing. The Kung Fu among them refers to the Pile Kung Fu. If you don't practice Zhuang Kung Fu, you won't be able to lay a good foundation, and practicing boxing will just be a show-off. After standing for more than 10 minutes, Li Jie felt that his body had reached its limit, so he slowly stood up and finished the exercise. The most important thing in standing is persistence and step by step. Beginners who have stiff bodies and no support in their legs should not rush for success. Ordinary people usually get tired after 5 or 6 minutes when they stand for the first time. Li Jie can persist for 17 or 18 minutes because he has previous skills and good physical fitness. After resting for 5 minutes, Li Jie officially started practicing boxing. This most basic set of 5-step boxing has an extremely simple routine. It only has 9 basic movements, such as parallel steps and fisting, left lunge with arms and fists, kicks and punches. Although the movements were simple, due to the lack of muscle memory, Li Jie was a little unfamiliar with the first stroke. After finishing the stroke once, he did not stop there, but continued to stroke the second and third times. By the time he hit 5 or 6 times, Li Jie's movements were extremely skillful, but he still didn't stop. From time to time, students passing by would look at him curiously when they saw him boxing, but Li Jie didn't care and just focused on boxing. The fight lasted for more than 40 minutes. Li Jie couldn't remember how many times he had fought. He was covered in sweat. It wasn't until he punched out with a lunge, his waist and horse united, and he felt full of energy. Stopped. Li Jie gasped and wiped the sweat from his forehead, feeling a little excited. The punch just now had a bit of flavor, and it was no longer a simple show. I have to say that physical fitness is so important when practicing martial arts. In that punch just now, Li Jie's strength was at least 6 or 7 points. In his previous life, he would never have been able to punch this punch. In his last life, Li Jie checked a lot of information on martial arts and fighting. The most important thing in fighting was physical fitness. In actual combat, with the same level of skill, the lightweights will definitely not be able to beat the heavyweights, otherwise why would they be classified? As for traditional martial arts, many Chinese martial arts novels classify Ming Jin, Dark Jin, and Hua Jin into levels, which is very mysterious. In fact, Ming Jin, Dark Jin, and Hua Jin are just different techniques for exerting force. For example, in ancient Yamen, a skilled Yamen worker could smash the inside of tofu while leaving the outside intact. Is this officer also a master of engine? A strong ordinary person can beat him to pieces. Therefore, it is nonsense to only talk about skills without talking about physical fitness. In reality, there is no internal strength, and boxing is afraid of young people. Whoever is younger, whoever is stronger, whoever is more powerful and faster will be more powerful in actual combat. There is no saying that the older you are, the deeper your inner strength will be and your martial arts will be higher. Many traditional martial arts masters were beaten violently in the ring. It's not that traditional martial arts are not good, but that these masters are not good. Since you are a master and are the leaders of various sects, you must be quite old. Your energy and blood are declining and you should be taking care of yourself. If you still go out to fight bravely with young people at an age where you don't get beaten, who will? Li Jie only practices boxing to strengthen his body and to protect himself when necessary. With his current physical fitness, he would have absolutely no problem dealing with one or two ordinary people. This is enough. As for becoming a master, Li Jie had never thought about it. In this day and age, no matter how hard you fight, there is no use for it. After practicing boxing, Li Jie did not leave in a hurry. Instead, he walked slowly around the court a few more times. When his breath gradually calmed down and the sweat on his body was almost dry, he slowly returned to the dormitory. Back in the dormitory, it was almost 10 o'clock. Lin Jing and Wang Zhaiheng were both back. The two were chatting. When Li Jie came back, Wang Zhaiheng said, "Hello, Jizi, go to exercise." "Go run a few laps," Li Jie said casually. After chatting with Lin Jing and Wang Zhaiheng for a few words, Li Jie felt his body was sticky, so he found a change of clothes and went to take a shower. After taking a cold bath in the bathroom, Li Jie washed the clothes he changed into. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanjie. Chapter 10. I returned to the dormitory with the washed clothes and found that He Zhigang was also back, holding an MP3 and listening to music. Chen Baiun went home, but Yang Hao was the only one who hadn't come back yet. Li Jie hung up his clothes to dry, lay on the bed, took out his Nokia 1100, set an alarm clock and got ready to go to bed. He Zhigang took off his headphones and said, "The lights are almost out. Why hasn't He come back yet?" Wang Zhaiheng said, "Isn't this kid still in the internet cafe?" Just as he was talking, Yang Hao opened the door and walked in from the outside. "Comrades, I'm back." He Zhigang glanced at him and said, "You won't be playing in the internet cafe until now, right?" "Play more Dota," Yang Hao said, his eyes falling on the plastic bag containing instant noodles, ham sausage and other snacks on the desk. "Brother Gang, is this bag of food yours? I can take it. Do you want bucket instant noodles? I ate a box lunch at the internet cafe in the evening, and I'm really hungry now." He Zhigang said nonchalantly, "It's just the food I brought with me on the way. If you don't mind the rest, just eat whatever you want." "Thank you, Brother Gang." Yang Hao was not polite at all. He made a bucket of noodles, put in 2 ham sausages and a braised egg, and tore open a bag of spicy strips to eat. Soon, the smell of instant noodles filled the dormitory. At 11 o'clock, the lights in the dormitory were turned off on time. Li Jie wanted to go to bed early, but he was insomnia while lying on the bed. He was so excited that he didn't feel sleepy at all. Maybe it's not excitement, but worry about gains and losses. On the one hand, the whole person is still in the joy of rebirth, but on the other hand, I am afraid that when I wake up, I will find that I have returned to 2021, and I just had a very real dream. Listening to He Zhigang and the others chatting while lying on the bed, no one spoke for an unknown amount of time before Li Jie fell asleep in a daze. Early the next morning, Li Jie was woken up by the alarm. Li Jie opened his eyes, picked up the Nokia 1100 on the pillow, and stared at it for a while. A smile suddenly appeared on the corner of his mouth, and he whispered, "It turns out it was really not a dream. I am really reborn," he added in his heart. Lin Jing, who was sleeping opposite, was also woken up. He looked at the time vaguely. "It's only 6 o'clock. Li Jie, why did you get up so early?" "Go for a run." Li Jie put on his clothes and prepared to wash up first. "Brother Jie, are you going to the cafeteria after your run? Can you bring me some breakfast?" Yang Hao stuck his head out. "Okay." Li Jie nodded, "Give me the meal card." "Brother Jie, I haven't applied for my meal card yet." "Let's use yours first." Li Jie said, "I can't even get my meal card." At this time, He Zhigang said, "Use my meal card. Jizi, you can also bring me breakfast." After asking He Zhigang and Yang Hao what they wanted to eat, Li Jie asked Lin Jing if he wanted to bring breakfast, but Lin Jing said no. After taking the meal card from He Zhigang, Li Jie finished washing up, left the dormitory, and started jogging along the road. 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. When Li Jie ran to the Minjiao restaurant, he saw a group of students lined up neatly, shouting loud chants, and running over from the corner in front. These students are all members of the school's self-discipline committee. The school self-discipline committee mainly investigates the internal affairs and safety inspections of student dormitories. In the last life, after being rejected by Tan Hui, Li Jie felt a little discouraged and had no interest in anything. Other freshmen were actively participating in various clubs, but he was the only one who didn't join any clubs. Chen Mengting, the league secretary in his class, asked him if he wanted to go to the self-discipline meeting. Li Jie felt that it was all right, so he agreed, and was recommended to the Self-Discipline Association. However, when he went there, he discovered that it was a bit of a trap. It turns out that when recruiting new members in various societies, self-discipline is the most difficult thing to recruit. As the name of the Self-Discipline Association suggests, members must first discipline themselves. Therefore, every Monday to Friday at 6 a.m., members of the Self-Discipline Association must gather for roll call and then run for half an hour in the morning. For these freshmen who go to bed late and get up early, and have finally survived the hard work of high school, it is life-threatening to not be able to sleep in when they go to college. They have to get up early in the morning to go for a morning run. Therefore, the Self-Discipline Association recruits new students, and it only recruits a few people every year. Each class recommends candidates. Speaking of which, Li Jie had the opportunity to meet Xiao Qiao because of the Self-Discipline Association. In the first semester of his sophomore year, Li Jie once led a team to the girls' dormitory to conduct a surprise inspection of illegal electrical appliances. He happened to catch Xiao Qiao and several other girls eating hot pot in the dormitory. Although Xiao Qiao and the other girls acted coquettishly and begged for mercy, it was a pity that they met Li Jie, a straight man. In the end, they were of no use. The illegal electrical appliances and small electric hot pot were still forcibly taken away. But what Li Jie didn't expect was that Xiao Qiao would pester him all day for a small electric hot pot. They used all kinds of tricks to act coquettishly, act cute, and pretend to be pitiful around him. Faced with this tormenting little goblin, Li Jie, no matter how straight he was, couldn't stand it anymore. After being tortured by her unbearably, he showed favoritism for the first time and went to the teacher to get the small electric hot pot back for her. Xiao Qiao took back the electric hot pot and said with a smile, "Li Jie, right? I remember you, it's the first time I met a straight boy like you. Do you know? I have never been so coquettish to my boyfriend." A few days later, as a thank you, Xiao Qiao treated him to a meal. The contact between Li Jie and Xiao Qiao ends here. Reality is not a novel. A beautiful woman will not care whether you, an ordinary man, care about her, nor will she flirt with you or pursue you just to prove her charm. The premise of playing hard to get is that you have to be good enough, handsome enough, and rich enough. Otherwise, if you are an ordinary man playing hard to get, you will only let one go and run away. Feng Ping was killed. In fact, Xiao Qiao's reputation in school is not very good, especially among girls, who say she is too pretentious, too coquettish, too teasing, and loves to steal other people's boyfriends. Of course, there was no adjective for green tea back then, but that's what it meant. Affected by the public criticism, Li Jie will inevitably look at her differently. But a small detail greatly changed Li Jie's impression of Xiao Qiao. While eating, he once asked her, "Why do you go to so much trouble to get that little electric hot pot back? In fact, that small electric hot pot is not worth a few dollars, not even worth the price of this meal." Xiao Qiao said, "It would be fine if my own pot was taken away, but that small electric pot was borrowed by me from the dormitory next door. The borrowed items must be returned and cannot be lost to others." This sentence touched Li Jie greatly. Many people do not cherish other people's things, but regard their own things as treasures. He borrowed your things and caused wanton harm, but he didn't let you touch his things. Just like Yang Hao, it's natural to eat and use yours, but don't even think about his things. And how bad can a girl who has principles and knows how to cherish other people's things go? At this time, Li Jie saw the self-discipline club running in the morning, and Li Jie immediately thought of Xiao Qiao.